Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions, 4 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon. Back to Seller Sessions is Stephen Black. How you doing, mate?
Doing well, Danny. How are you, my friend?
All good, all good. I'm just going to share to the group. Do you want to give the audience a little bit of background on yourself, and then we'll get into the program?
Sure. Well, I have been a marketer for about 15 years. I've been in the Amazon space for 3 or 4 years now. Came to the Amazon space already having been a marketer. I have multiple stores, multiple businesses, um, and I do consulting work as well. And I've helped companies all the way from startups up to nine-figure monsters. And my specialty is audience building and buyer psychology.
Excellent. All right, so let's kick things off. So today we're going to do pre-launch, building the pre-launch list, and you're talking about as well without doing it without content. So do you want to give us a bit of context and a bit of background of how you're doing this?
Yeah. So there are a few ways to build an audience that you want to launch to, especially in the Amazon space. Everybody thinks that launching is maybe running search find buys or that kind of thing. And that is one strategy that's effective for a lot of people. Me personally, when I think launch, I think, okay, I need to have a pool of people that are hungry for what I have for when I make the product live, like the latest Xbox release or the latest iPhone release or something like that. Now, everybody thinks that's a good idea. Nobody's ever disagreed with that. But the problem with that is that most people think, okay, well, I have to come up with a bunch of content and I have to maybe start a Facebook group or an Instagram or something like that. And that's a whole lot of extra work. It's a whole lot of extra that I'm going to have to know about and learn and blah, 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 blah. And it's difficult. People don't want to go that route. So what can we do to build hype, to build a pre-launch list so that we do have a bunch of people ready to rock for when launch day happens without having to go crazy on the content side? There's a way to go about that. And it's extremely effective.
Okay.
And you build an email list in the meantime. That's always good.
Cool. Let's roll it out step by step. So how would you advise to do this?
Okay. Number one, the first thing we're going to have to do is we have to give people proper incentive to give us their email address. Okay. Now, if you have a standalone website, let's say paralleling your Amazon stores, and you have the whole newsletter opt-in thing, you're only at most ever going to get 3% of visitors to give you their email address. It's not that effective. However, if you use something called a squeeze page, which is a standalone single page with no other navigation menus and all that kind of thing, if you incentivize it correctly, you're going to get about 20 to 25% email addresses. So you go from 3 out of 100 visitors to 1 in 4 or 5. And that's a huge difference. Now,
that's a massive difference, yeah.
Yeah. So how do we go about that? Where do we start with this? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to incentivize it with a prize. We're going to run a giveaway, but we're not going to give away a ton of units. That's not what we're going to do with our Amazon inventory. Instead, I want you to think of a higher ticket prize. Let's say you're selling something on Amazon. You have, say, a set of art supplies. I don't know. That's maybe $50 or $60. Let's say as an example, right? Something normal that we would see in the Amazon seller space. Well, what I would do is I would get a bunch of other accessories and use one of my units as a bigger prize, valued at about $400 or $500, right? So it's a much bigger prize. And what I'll do is I'll run that as the bait, right? Just this is what we're giving away. Thank you so much. Here's what you have going on. And people can just choose to opt into the contest. Now, when you do this, you don't just set it up as, hey, give me your email and we'll let you know. I usually run this, depending on the size of the prize, anywhere from 8-ish weeks to 12-ish weeks, somewhere in there. So sometimes I'll run a prize, upwards of around $2,000, and I would rather run that out about 8 weeks because I can get a lot more traction out of it. Now, the key to this is you don't run it until live day. You run it from before your thing goes live until a couple of weeks after your prize goes, your item goes live. That's the trick. That's what you really, really want. Especially if you have inventory, coming into Amazon they'll give you that bit of a grace period before they actually get everything processed to where they say, okay, they have units in stock, but they're still sorting it out on the back end. So we're going to take advantage of that. Now, one of the platforms that I really like for this is a platform called Viper, Vyper, right? And that is a standalone contest site. And what you do is it allows you to set up your very own landing page. You don't have to do it by yourself. It's just a template builder. You can set it up. It's really, really easy. You don't have to have an external website or anything like that. You just set it up. It's done, right? But what you can do is once you have people opt in for the email, you can incentivize them to say, hey, if you share this, if you do this, if you do that, if you, go buy this thing over here, whatever it is, you can give them extra entries to incentivize them to take those actions for you. So let's say you're launching a new product, but you already have one or two on Amazon, let's say as an example, right? You can set up a custom event. Let's say you're selling another item on Amazon, $40, right? You can say, okay, well, we'll give you the one entry for your email, but if you share the contest with your friends on social media, we'll give you another 10 entries, right? If you leave a review on our Facebook page, we'll give you another 15 entries. If you buy this accessory on Amazon that's not necessarily part of the prize pack, we're going to give you 3 entries per dollar spent. All you have to do is email us your order number. Did I discount anything? No.
So
but
you're basically you're stacking the incentives. So
of course,
you're taking them through a filter there.
Yeah,
and stacking the incentive. I just want to go back to the landing page thing as well. It's like the point that you made is that there's no navigation, there's no links or anything else because you've got one. Your focus is on one conversion, and obviously having a menu bar actually detracts from the promotion that you put on, but it also simplifies the process of building a page.
So let's drill down there. Let's drill down there. So most people focus on driving traffic. They want to run extra PPC. I want to rank higher. I want to get more keywords I've ranked for, all of that kind of fun stuff. But what you have to understand is your strategies for traffic generation and driving traffic are very different than your strategies for actual conversions, okay? So when we get to a website, when we get to an Amazon listing, when we get anywhere on the internet, there are differences in what are called conversion actions. Do I want to get people to purchase? Do I want to get an email address? Do I want them to opt into a quiz? Do I want them to whatever? I want them to click on that category on my website. I got to put that in a certain place that kind of limits their choice paths and stacks the deck in my favor. Now, if you have a regular website, they can click the About Us, they can click, your blog, they can click a product page, they can click related products, and you're like, darn it, they didn't do what I wanted them to do. Well, if you have a standalone lander, which is what some of these programs set up for you, you can set up and say, hey, this is all you get. And your main conversion action that you are trying to push, whether it's selling something, whether it's getting an email address, whether it's getting them to opt in to a contest, what you want is you want that above the fold. That means as soon as the web page pops up, they do not have to scroll no matter the browser, and it's ready to go. They can say, okay, I know what this is about. This is what I was looking for. I can get in right there. Done. Now, Viper is one of the platforms that I use for that. Another one that's really, really good is a tool called Wubox, Woobox. Now, Wubox has a little more to it. You can do social contests like we're talking about and create the incentives. Wubox is the only platform I know that if you also have a Facebook page, you can set up a secondary tab on your Facebook page for the contest. So if you have a lot going on your socials, you can definitely use that and direct people there. It also will allow you to set up quizzes. That's really cool too. But if we're going to stick with it, let's say we're having our $500 giveaway, right? I would set up on my lander to where that's it. They're not going to be able to find my website. They're not going to go to my Amazon listing. They're just right here. If you want it, there you go. Now, the cool thing is you can also, if you have a Facebook ads account, you can go ahead and set up your pixel on your lander. so that anybody that comes in but doesn't opt in, you can run a couple of retargeting ads and get a higher opt-in rate by chasing people back down. Very, very inexpensive to do, very, very easy. And the cool thing about this is usually when I run something like this, I'm getting qualified leads in here for 25 cents maybe. It doesn't cost anything. Maybe $1, maybe, and that's if it's if I'm not optimized yet. But almost always it's under $1 per lead coming in. Now, what happens is everybody wants the big prize, sure, and they can do all these incentives and everything else. But if I'm running it, say 8 to 12 weeks out, it piles on itself. I don't just want a couple of hundred people in this. I want a few thousand people in this. So I'm going to spend a little money, maybe running, some Facebook ads or something like that, or what have you. But I'm getting people in there, okay, and they're going to be good people. Now, what I'm going to do is anybody that opts in, I know Viper hooks up with an email system called Klaviyo. It's big for off Amazon email flows, and you can set up an auto. Yeah, you can, and most people in ecom do. But you can set up automated flows to where when they opt in, and that's how they come in is that social contest. Mm-hmm. You can segment them and say, okay, cool. The moment they come in, this is what this is. This is what this is. This is what this is, and you're going to have people come in on day 1 versus week 3. So how do you do that? Well, you can actually in Klaviyo set up conditionals to where, okay, well, if they came in here, this is what we want to do, and we want to snip some of these off. But what I'll do is I set up an email flow. Let's say it's over the course of 8 weeks as a simple one. I'll probably have 10, 11 emails in there, something like that, just over once a week. But I'll have some content in there, just some things I've curated, right, that I've not made. Maybe it's a how-to guide. Maybe it's an expert interview that I've found. Maybe it's some kind of series on YouTube or something like that. And what you do is you're giving people something that helps them answer their questions before they get a product, or it takes them further into their passion pursuits. And what you've just done is you've given them higher aspirations within the space that they're interested in based on your prize. So let's say I'm selling that $60 art set. It may be drawing guides, it may be shading guides, it may be, organization of your craft room, something like that, just some simple stuff. But in between all of that, I'm going to also have emails to remind them that they can do things for more entries and that there's a countdown going on. Also, usually about the second or third email, I will give them a small incentive, usually 15, 20%, something like that, and point them to my Amazon listing of what's coming. That item that I want to launch. Yeah, absolutely. Or if you want, you can run it regular search find by, hey, we're going to give 5 entries per dollar spent if you go to Amazon and you get this within the next 72 hours, right? It's very, very easy to do that. And now what you're doing is not only have you paid less to get those qualified leads onto your email list that you can continually market to beyond, your launch day, but now you're incentivizing people and saying, okay, you're more qualified because you came to me. Now I'm going to send you to my Amazon listing and really incentivize you to where, hey, I'm going to move some units and I'm not giving a gigantic discount to move them, and you can still win. And so I've had people that will buy things, and once they buy, you can set up that conditional trigger in Klaviyo to shoot them an extra email. It's almost like an upsell kind of thing.
Well, the other thing is if people don't open within 48 hours, you can resend them out as well, Exactly.
Yeah. So that was the next thing I was going to go to. But before that, everybody that does open that one and goes to Amazon, you can then say, hey, thank you so much. We're going to give you extra if you share this. If you have a few friends that want to come and buy it, we'll give you referral entries. And so what's cool about it is you get this say you have 1,000 people opt in over 8 weeks, but you're gonna have multiple thousands of entries, right? And you can bring people back with the Viper platform, I know you can. You can bring people back to the lander, and if you want to have a total count of number of entries so that people kind of get that hysteria going, it absolutely drives
Social
people.
proof. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, this many people are in on this? Okay, whoa, okay, great, yeah. And that has been an extremely effective strategy because you build all of that, and then when launch day comes around, let's say we're running 8 weeks out, right? Or an 8-week contest. 6 weeks out is when I would start that. Launch day happens at 6 weeks, the actual live day, right? What I would do is I would say, hey, when I really want to hammer that for that first, week or so, I would incentivize the fire out of going back to that listing again. I would try to give everybody all the reasons. I would say, hey, we've had this many selling. We only have this many left. We're going to give an exclusive to everybody in the contest first. All of that kind of thing. And people bite all over it. And that's how you can move very easily, a few hundred units out with just a simple social contest. And then the cool thing is you have that email list still. Did I have to make any content? Did I talk about going in and producing big blog articles and YouTube and everything else like that? Nope.
It's just graphics and copywriting, isn't it? Effectively. Yeah. And some tools.
And the cool thing about that, if you're wondering, okay, well, what do I put on the lander aside from, hey, get this? If you use your main Amazon keywords and you go and find niche relevant Facebook groups, you can search within those groups based on your keywords, and you'll find the questions and discussions that people are having, because that's what people value around the things in your space. So you can put some of that in the benefits of your copy. Use some of that in the bullets of your listing. Don't just tell people, hey, my art set has, 30 colored pencils and 30 markers and blah, blah, blah. Don't say it like that. You say, hey, 30 colored pencils and 30 markers. That way, no matter your mood, you always have a shade or a color or whatever for whatever your project is. Just that little tiny benefit. Because some people, if you look in the Facebook group, say, man, I wish I had something with a bigger art set here so that I could really work the shading better. Because the people that are into that kind of thing are really into it, and they spend a lot of money on it. So why not help them along? And the beautiful part is, okay, that's launch day, but you still have that email list. Why can't you continually run a contest like that? Because let's say you spend $500 to put something together, but you're let's say your $60 art set, let's say you move 100 units. Okay, there's 6,000 in revenue off of 500 in spend. That's not bad as a way to start things off. And then you're gonna get the kick on the platform. You're gonna figure out, by that time, what keywords you need to move. If you want to run a search find by as opposed to just a straight click from your email, you can do all of that. So there's a lot of ways to tie in some of the things that people are already doing, but that's how you can build a list without having to run huge amounts of content. And my two favorite tools for that are the Viper platform, VYPER, and Wubox, WOOBOX. Now, I will say this with the Viper platform, and it's something that they've actually been wrestling with. If you're going to use Viper, you need to probably have your own domain, and they have instructions on how to set that up on your own domain. So it may cost you an extra, $10 or something for a simple domain. It doesn't have to be something crazy. It doesn't have to be, something related to your brand name or something like that. Just find a domain that works for you, because they had an issue where things were working too effectively, and so Facebook put the high alert on the straight Viper links. So you have to use the lander on your own domain. They have how to set that up. So that's just one little thing. So if you say, oh, I'll run on Viper, but it's giving me problems, got to have your own domain for them. But other than that, I mean, it's super duper effective. Now, here's the other fun part. Can I, if I'm actually going to build something, say I'm building an audience, can I have smaller prizes where I run maybe a weekly contest versus a monthly contest versus a gigantic, hey, product launch, here's the big thing we're going to run. Let's say I was making an accessory for, say, scuba divers for underwater photography, like little, camera holder thing, right? Okay, cool. I wanted to move that. if I wanted to really go deep on that, why wouldn't I also get the DSLR that goes with that and maybe set up, with a destination dive spot? Here's all this stuff. Maybe I spent, a couple $1,000s on it, but I was really into the scuba diving space, and I had all that moving. Do you not think that I could really, really capitalize big on that in a huge, huge way? There are entire businesses that are set up on that. For everybody that's listening and is interested in this model, because I know the guy that actually runs their advertising, go and look up a company called the Diesel Brothers. Their entire business model, they sell big off-road truck accessories, and their giveaway every month is a $100,000 built truck.
Right.
That's what they give away. But I mean, they do $3 or $4 or $5 million a month off of just those. And it's, hey, email entry, and then we're going to give you X amount per dollar spent in the store. And they have all the truck accessories, they have all the apparel, they have all the gear, all the lifestyle stuff. But that's what they do. They've gotten to the point over the years with their gigantic warehouse that they have big boy trucks built for those enthusiasts, and they go and they give away a gigantic truck every month, and people lose their mind. They even had a Discovery Channel show based on that. And so this is kind of where all this started. I know the guy that runs their advertising, and he's a very good friend of mine. And I was like, is this what's really going on? He's like, yep. You can scale that way back if you're going to do it for some of your smaller operations that don't want to give away something that crazy. Yeah, but I mean, that's how that works. There's a couple other businesses that do that really well, in addition to what I'm talking about. But there you go. So I don't have to create content for 4 or 5 months and really, create a captive audience where I'm having conversations with people every day. I say, okay, I have my lander. I have a prize that I know that this space really, really wants, the prize pack, so to speak, right? Set up your lander, set up an email flow with some good emails and some content that you found, you're good to go. Now, that's the trick too. I should say that. The content that you find, take your keywords and go over to Quora, Quora.com. All right, it's an open public forum where people just ask questions. Put in your keywords and find the questions that kind of have the best responses and the most responses. And then what you can do is you can go back and search Google for how-to guides on answering those questions or getting things done, or YouTube videos, even if they're not your own. But as part of your content, because you're trying to give before you make an offer, right? Input before you pull back out. Link to that stuff. Really, really easy to do. And then if you're running Klaviyo, you see the open rates, and you can segment people based on when they open, and even run offers cherry-picked to the people that are most engaged. Really easy to do that way over and over and over again. So instead of having to say, well, I need to give away 200 units to really, push this and rank well, and that's a huge amount of capital that I'm trying to recover. Okay, well, if I run it like this, maybe I have a little bit of advertising money going out up front, but I can move that same couple of 100 units, say over the course of a month, but I'm gonna make a lot more profit off of it. And I have my email list, and I can keep it growing, and I can do everything else with it. So that's how I would go about it.
Could I ask a quick question? Just where are you getting the qualified traffic from? Because it's contests, people and stuff like that. Where's some good sources of traffic for people to drive to landing pages?
Okay, so I usually use Facebook ads for this, but you have to be careful with the objectives. So what I want people to understand is the least expensive and lowest quality traffic is the traffic or reach objective. That nobody really has a purpose with that, because the attribution for that is measured on the platform, not your site. You want to run a conversion action with your contest. You're going to pay more per lead, but you're going to get higher qualified people. Don't go with people that are just, engaged shoppers or Amazon or something like that, because that's not what you're after. If it were something like art supplies, I would find words or phrases that I can search in the interests that really have more to do with, canvases and watercolor painting and blah, blah, blah. So things that people that are really into the space are going to be involved in, right? So a good way to think about that with your keywords is this keyword indicative of something that people are, it either represents them, or that they actually kind of spend a lot of time in and kind of make a little bit of a lifestyle around it. So people that are into art, and I know a few like this, it's just what they do. They spend thousands and thousands of dollars and hours of time doing all of that. And it's a huge part of their life. People have craft rooms and all that kind of thing. So I want to find words and interests that match that versus just, drawing. Right? So here's the trick though. Let's go back to the objectives.
So yeah.
When you set up your pixel on your lander, okay, what you want to do is you don't want view landing page. That's the lowest qualified conversion objective, because that's just people that actually make it to your page. If they bounce, okay, so what? They still made it. It still counts. And that even that low conversion objective is going to be higher quality than reach, traffic, video views, or messenger bots, because they actually made it to your site, and it has to be able to be tracked back. Now, the one that you probably should use is view content. All right, because you don't have a cart functioning. Otherwise, you could run purchase conversions, which is what you really want to run if you're running Facebook ads. But those are obviously more expensive, right? But if you're running those emails, run view content. That's the one you want to run. And you want to make sure that when you're running this, you can actually go and get the individual event code in your ads manager for the pixel event for view content. Don't set that up on the lander. Set that up on the thank you page of your contest. That way, Facebook says, okay, view content means they viewed an important page on your website. If you set up a standard pixel event on, say, a Shopify store, okay, your view content is only going to be on your product pages. That's the difference there. If they make a landing page view, it's probably your home page or a blog page, but your view content, hey, this is a product page because it has a cart button on it. So I always put my my view content pixel event individually on the thank you page of my contest, because I want people to get through there, and I want my ads manager to start optimizing for people like that. They made it all the way through. They gave me their email. They're ready to go. That's how you do it. That's how I would go about it. And that's why sometimes the leads get up to $1 versus, say, 10 cents on some of the other objectives.
Yeah. I think sometimes people forget when they're running Facebook ads as well. Like we often are optimizing with bounce rate plus time on site through Google Analytics. And I think that's often missed, because you obviously work in one end of the system, but if your targeting's off and you've got like you might have a half decent bounce rate, let's say 48% to 55%, but then your time on site might be 2 seconds. So then that's where you need to start optimize. You want to get back to a minute, 2 minutes, So
so this is one of the things that you can also set up. You can set up a custom conversion event in Facebook, and you can set it up to where 10 seconds on site without having to actually get into UTM tags or anything else like that. And you can run that as a conversion objective. Say, okay, I want people to get to my lander, and I want them to be there for more than 10 seconds, and that's who I want to optimize for. Okay, we can do that. Now, to elaborate on what you were saying, Danny, when I really set things up all the way, and I didn't want to go too deep here, but I always go bounce rate, time on site, and scroll depth. That's a big one for me.
There's free code on that was got the BR coming up to next, because then you see how far they're engaging with your content, which then you're recording as an event in Google Analytics.
So what he's talking about, everybody, is something called Google Tag Manager, where you set this all up. Now, without me having to go too deep on this, if you want to know about Google Tag Manager, go to YouTube and look at a company called Surfside PPC or Measure School. Measure School is amazing. Measure School is absolutely amazing at talking about all the analytics stuff. So if you go to Measure School and you look up Google Tag Manager, they'll have a playlist of how to set up the things that he is talking about. And that way what happens is you'll be able to see what's going on in your Google Tag Manager based on how people are interacting with your site, and really drill down on being able to make much higher converting audiences based on their own behavior. That's what you want to do. But as far as understanding it, go to Measure School on YouTube, and it's together. It's not separate words. It's just Measure School as one word, and look up Google Tag Manager on their playlist, and they'll have you ready to rock.
Sounds good. Have we kind of covered everything, or is there still some more bits you want to cover?
Let me check my notes real quick. Oh, there's something for you that I need to talk about.
Coming in.
How to boost your order value.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot that was in our show notes.
Because that's a sneaky one to use. Mm-hmm. So what we were talking, we touched on it a little bit earlier when I talked about if I already have products on the Amazon platform, as an example. Let's say I have 2 or 3 products moving, and I want to launch my next one. Well, what you can do, if people want to get in on your product launch, you can stack and say, okay, we're going to run a bundle on this product and this product. If you get both of them, we'll give you more entries, of course. But if you get both of them, we'll also give you a bigger discount for this new product on launch day that goes with these other 2, right? And so now, maybe instead of selling your $60 art set like I was talking about, maybe you have 2 other items that are $40 each. Well, now instead of $60 per head, maybe you're running over $100 in revenue, per head coming in, just because you stacked it up and incentivized. And that's a way to take it further, so they can say, okay, well, I bought this, and now I'm really looking forward to buying the 3rd one, and now I have all these extra entries going into the big contest. And now what you need to do, though, here's the trick. Anybody that does that, you need to treat them differently because they have bought more than once from you. And those repeat buyers are who you really, really want to pay attention to. You are officially dating those people. Talk to them. Give them specialized incentives. You can set up a conditional trigger in Klaviyo to put them on a different list, a different segment, and say, okay, these are my repeat buyers. They've bought from me more than once. I really want to pay attention to them. I want to give them some exclusives. I want to have deeper conversations with them. I want to get them maybe to my social media. I want to create lookalike audiences from them to advertise again when I run my next contest. Those are your real superstars. And you're going to get a bunch of those per contest you run. But let's say you run this every 2 months. Over the course of 18 months or so, you're going to have a pretty good pool of repeat buyers to really start seeding your advertising audiences off of. So that's a trick you need to use if you really want to capitalize on this strategy. And you can do it over and over and over again without having to be a publisher and run stupid amounts of content. I love that kind of thing, but I'm not everybody, Yeah. And so if people say, okay, well, I like this, but where do I start? Well, that's what we've talked about the whole live stream, versus you have to do this, and you have to write a blog, and you have to do YouTube, and you have to audience this, and Facebook group that, and Instagram this. And it's like, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. That's a channel, and it's a lot of work. You get much bigger benefits from it, but that's not for everybody. So use the platforms I've talked about here, Viper and Wubox, and they will really, really be a big benefit for you.
Yeah. Sounds good. What are you up to, Stephen? What's going on in your world as well? What have you got coming up? I know we're in COVID, but
we're in COVID, most certainly. I have got some things on my calendar for my my free group that I'm going to be adding. As far as I think I'm working on running a series for everybody, where I'm going to go through the steps at a higher level, not anything crazy, but go through the steps and set up a series that people can go back through on, based on your situation. Let's say you're just on Amazon. How do I start the process of building an audience or building an off Amazon presence? And what does that really look like without just throwing everything at people and saying, well, these are all the directions you could go. I think if I set up a map for everybody, that could be really, really beneficial. And I might even have some simple workshops where I'll take people that want in, and we'll go through 10 days of me walking people through and checking up on their ideas with templates. I think that's what's coming in the free group here before long. I also have my mentorship masterclass program where I go real deep on all of this stuff, super, super deep. I think there's already over 75 hours of content in there on all kind of subjects, but that's a separate monster. But yeah, I mean, that's what I have going on. And then as the world opens back up, I have a few places that people have asked me to travel and come speak in person about Amazon and brand building and all of that kind of fun stuff. But there you go.
Cool. And where can people find you in the group? Do you want to let them know about your Facebook group?
Yes, of course. I'm sorry. So if you want to come and find me, look up Unstoppable FBA on Facebook. It's a group. It's free. Danny and almost the entire cast of other Amazon superstars are in there. And I talk almost exclusively about marketing for Amazon and brand building off of Amazon and all the little bits and pieces that go into that, driving traffic, conversion optimization, copywriting, social media marketing. That's kind of my thing. And it can all be linked right back to your Amazon account.
Cool.
So lots of fun.
Excellent. Well, Stephen, thank you for coming in today. It'd be great to get you in again over the next few months. I think the last time you came in, it's probably nearly 2 years ago, maybe 18 months. But yeah, we'll get you back again because I know you're a wealth of knowledge. You cover a lot of areas. And I'd like to keep you rolling on this series as well because you bring a lot of stuff to the table. Sharon, you're welcome. Sharon, we'll be back here tomorrow. I'll be back here next week. Take care of yourself and your family. Much love, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.